Welcome to another Sloan's Wilderness Expeditions full-length travel vlog, where we'll be taking you along with us on our 6-day fall break adventure, heading northeast and exploring areas completely new to us, with only a rough outline of where we'd be going, places to see, and of course, no reservations, just the open road ahead of us. So sit back and enjoy the ride. Good morning, fellow expeditionists. We're on another road trip. What's going on this week, Catfish?
We're on fall break.
That's right. And this time, we're doing another Midwest to Mountains type adventure. But this time, we're going northeast. We had a map of places we hope to see on this adventure, and a few places that got added along the way. We headed out of Indiana and into Ohio, toward the northeast, and our first stop on this trip, Cuyahoga Valley National Park. It's a different kind of park that mixes both federal, local, and private land, but all tied together via roads, trails, bike paths, and even railroad. First up, we wanted to see the geologic features of the Ledges region. Hey, fellow expeditionists.
We're at Cuyahoga Valley National Park.
That's right, and we're going to do the Ledges Trail, and maybe some more. Cuyahoga Valley has a diverse landscape, from river terraces to steep valley walls, meandering streams, ravines, waterfalls, and these rock ledges. This is where two major regions of North America meet, where the final influences of the Appalachian mountain building of the East gives way to the vast plains of the Midwest. In fact, most of the park sits on the Appalachians Allegheny Plateau, with the northern tip crossing into the plains. Very picturesque place, isn't it?
It really is.
All right, we just finished hiking the Ledges area here at Cuyahoga Valley National Park. That is the only absolute that we came here to do, was hiking that area, since obviously that's the kind of thing we're into anyway, and honestly we're just not really sure what to expect here at this park. It's definitely interesting, a lot of history here, so now we're just going to cruise a little bit and see what we see and check out for the day, huh, Kat?
Yeah. We're now at Beaver Marsh.
While Cuyahoga Valley's geologic history is quite intriguing, the park boasts lots of modern history as well. From the Native Americans that once hunted this land, to the European Americans that settled here during the westward expansion. The Ohio and Erie Canal was the first major canal built in America, connecting Lake Erie to the Ohio River, the remnants of which run straight through this park. The idea for the canal was first fostered by George Washington himself, and ultimately was completed in 1832. Well, we're back out cruising around Cuyahoga Valley right now, checking things out. It's really just a nice backcountry area. Doesn't really feel like you're in a national park, does it, Catfish?
Not entirely.
Not entirely. There's some cool things. Stopped at the visitor center, checked some stuff out. Got my sticker to go on top of our cargo box to add to the collection. But I think we've got at least one more spot to check out while we're here.
Yeah.
I think we're doing a little change of plans now, folks. We came out to the Brandywine Falls, and it is one of the more popular ones here, but also it's busy because a couple of the other waterfalls in the park are closed. The trails are closed while they do trail maintenance. And Brandywine parking lot is completely full with people just continuously coming in. So we're out. We're going to have to say no this time to Brandywine Falls.
So we moved on from Cuyahoga Valley, knowing we would be back someday to explore more and maybe even bring our bikes to ride the Ohio and Erie Towpath Trail. In the meantime, we weaved our way around Cleveland to find our way to Lake Erie. Just a quick stop to see another one of the Great Lakes.
Catfish here has only ever seen Lake Michigan as far as the Great Lakes goes. And the only other one I've ever seen is Lake Erie, which is the one we're close to. So I thought we'd find us a place to take catfish out to see Lake Erie. It is windy. Great Lakes were formed by the glaciers, weren't they?
Yes, they were.
Yeah. I kind of feel like we're at the ocean.
Yeah, it does feel like it.
Alright, well, Lake Erie Bluffs was pretty cool.
It was.
It's one of those little unplanned stops that turned out to be really neat. Catfish, what did you think of how the Lake Erie looked compared to what your knowledge is of Lake Michigan and Indiana Dunes?
It looked a lot like an actual ocean beach, even though it's like fresh water. It was like very windy, which even though it did cool us off a bit, it made for a lot of waves, which was nice to see.
Yeah.
Also lots of beach wood and stuff. Things washed up, glacial rocks, etc.
Yep. Lake Erie is the shallowest of the Great Lakes, and I think that makes it easier to create the waves and all that kind of thing. Huh?
Yeah.
We continued driving northeast, watching the changing landscape and the early fall colors of the region. One thing that we found interesting were all the grape vineyards. They were as prevalent here as cornfields are in Indiana.
Well, folks, we are on the road. We got exited Ohio, cut through the corner of Pennsylvania. We're now in New York State. We could make it to our destination for tomorrow, tonight, but obviously we want to save it for tomorrow. So we're investigating some options for where to boondock tonight. Because you know us, we'll go on these road trips with no reservations.
Yep.
What's out the window up there, Catfish?
Grapes.
Grapes. I have never seen so many vineyards. Not since we were out in California, huh?
Yeah, lots and lots of grapes.
Just miles and miles of grapes. So I guess this area is known as the Concord grape capital of New York. So that's why there's so many vineyards around here.
Yep.
But we have
We have arrived at the Barcelona Harbor Pier here on Lake Erie. And it is gull capital of the world right now, huh, Catfish?
Yes, it is.
Flying all out there, and they are all over the lot. But you notice that camper sitting in the background. This nice parking area here is supposed to be for parking for the like boat ramp, but there's no signs here that says no overnight parking. So it is a popular place to boondock over the night, just for a night.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're going to do. I'm digging this little spot here, Catfish.
Yeah, it's neat.
Yeah. The rocky shoreline over there. We don't have that on Lake Michigan, at least not in our area. Beach, there's some little waterfalls over here. Oh, and look over there. There's a lighthouse. A pretty sweet old lighthouse right there. You can see the lake out here, and there's the pier that we'll hopefully be spending the night on. The cool things we just run across accidentally, huh, Catfish?
Yes, it is.
Good morning, fellow expeditionists. We had a great night sleeping there at the Barcelona Pier by that lighthouse. Great little spot. Very windy last night. A lot of storms rolling through, but it just kind of rocked us to sleep, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Got up early this morning, hit the road, fought through the rush hour traffic of Buffalo, New York, and just kind of waiting for the rain to stop now before we head on to our next adventure.
Niagara Falls.
When I was growing up, there were some places that I always heard about being amazing bucket list items in America. Places like the Grand Canyon, the geysers of Yellowstone, and Niagara Falls. So to say we were a little excited to finally check off this bucket list item is an understatement. Hey fellow expeditionists, we have arrived in upstate New York.
We're at Niagara Falls State Park.
So the Canadian side has the better view overall of these waterfalls here at Niagara, but it's only on the American side where you can pretty much stand right on top of them.
fellow expeditionists, that's pretty much going to do it for our adventure here at Niagara Falls. We got to see more than we actually intended to when we first came. Well, viewers, I gotta say, we had a great time there at Niagara Falls, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
We spent a ton of time there, obviously, but we got to see what we went to see and then some. Really enjoyed that. Now, it is a long ride to get to our next destination. So we're on the road for a little while today. I do think we're due for a break. What do you think, Catfish?
I think so.
Yeah, we can do a little side adventure here on our way. It was at least a 6-hour drive to our next destination, so a side adventure to break up the monotony seemed like a good idea. We were still skirting the south side of the Great Lakes, so there was plenty of options, but one spot on the shores of Lake Ontario stood out to us. Alright, this is day number 2, of course, of our big road trip for fall break. And we decided to take a little side trip here to see Lake Ontario. Well, upon our little investigating to do so, we found this cool state park called Chimney Bluffs, which sounds like it's got some interesting formations along the lake. It was another very windy day, especially along the lake shore. There was a weather system that seemed to be following us for most of this trip. So we decided to just embrace the suck and go with it.
Hey, Cliff Thrower, you know what this reminds me of?
Do tell, Catfish.
This is a lot like the formations at the Badlands that we visited a couple years back.
Oh yeah, in South Dakota?
Yeah.
Yep. Well, fellow expeditionists, that's pretty much going to do it here at Chimney Bluff State Park, right on the side of Lake Ontario in New York. All right, we are on the road. We have got a ways to go. We are heading towards the Adirondack Mountains. Never been there. We want to see them. It's going to be past peak fall color time, but we don't really care.
No, we don't.
It's still going to be an experience. It's going to be cold. Tonight it is actually supposed to get down below freezing and may see the season's first snow. So I guess we'll just see what it gives us. Go from there. My original plan for this day was to travel straight from Niagara Falls to the Adirondacks, enjoying the views of the mountains along the way, arriving before dark, settling into a boondocking site, and preparing for a possible backpacking adventure the next day. But I underestimated just how long of a drive it would be to get to upstate New York, not to mention spending more time than intended at Chimney Bluffs. It would be past 9 p.m. before we arrived in the Adirondacks, a full 3 hours after sunset. No views, no time to prepare. In fact, we were lucky to find our dispersed campsite. But our plans are always fluid, and we adapt to whatever comes along. All right, fellow expeditionists, it's been a day, I'll tell you what, after Niagara Falls and then that Chimney Rock Bluff on Lake Ontario and all, and a whole lot of driving. We made it into the Adirondack region, and the sun sets over here in this section of New York like at 6:15. So once we made it into the Adirondacks and we got on the Olympic Scenic Byway, we didn't really get to see any of the scenery because it was dark already. But we made it to where we were hoping to boondock tonight, just on the outer edge of the High Peaks Wilderness. So hopefully we get a good night's sleep and get some adventures in. All right, we are in the back of our little Subaru, boondocking here in the Adirondack Mountains.
Yep. Pretty cool, isn't it?
It is. It is really cool. It is supposed to get down so cool that it's going to get down below freezing tonight.
Yep.
I think we're going to do just fine. Yep. It's Been a day, hasn't it?
It sure has been.
Yep. You know what? It's going to be a day tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah. Night. Well, good morning, viewers. We are coming to you from the Adirondack Mountains. We are camped out here right now on the outer edge of the High Peaks Wilderness. We're in a dispersed camping area along Meadow Road. We came in here last night. It was a little after 9 p.m., so we got here considerably later than we had planned to, which made finding a spot to camp boondock last night a little more difficult. There was already quite a few spots taken, but we did manage to find this. And I'm not going to complain too much. That's a pretty sweet spot. All right, folks, we are on the move this morning. We're actually just going to go out and do some sightseeing. Since we got here so late last night, well after dark, we didn't get to see any of the scenery coming in. So today we kind of slept in and got freshened up this morning, took our time, and we're just going to do a little bit of sightseeing. I want to show you the road that we came in on, since it was too dark to show you last night, for our campsite anyway. Adirondack Mountains. We will be hiking up into those. We headed toward Lake Placid, probably the most famous community in upstate New York, as it has hosted the Winter Olympics both in 1932 and again in 1980. Very cool that such a small mountain community has played a huge part on the world stage. The way I see it, Lake Placid is about due to host the Winter Olympics again, and judging from all the construction going on, they are staying prepared. All right, we really wanted to visit and enjoy Lake Placid with all of its Olympic history and such, but first of all, everything costs a ton of money if you want to go and actually tour it. And you know us, we avoid any tourist attractions that involves tons of money. And a good chunk of the downtown area is all under construction. The roads have been completely ripped up, so not very fun to try to sightsee through that area either. We want to kind of go around to the outskirts, maybe find us some lake views, mountain views, maybe even a little trail or something to wake up on, huh, Catfish?
Yeah.
All right, we got out of Lake Placid a little bit there. Construction was just a little bit too much in that one area. Found some little nature trails nearby, though. Peninsula Trail it's called here. Brewster Peninsula. And of course, Google Maps led us astray and sent us into a private golf course to try to find the trailhead. And that was not right, so we had to find it on our own, didn't we, Captain?
Yes, we did.
Let's go get us some taste of nature here today. That's been there for a long time. was a really nice hike here around the Peninsula trails just outside of Lake Placid. Did not expect it to be quite as nice as it was. Just thought it was going to be a nice little flat trail, a little leg stretcher, and getting to see the west lake of Lake Placid and just all of the cool stuff here on this trail was much nicer than I expected.
Yeah, I really liked the feel of the mixed broadleaf conifer we had here. It was awesome.
We drove back around Lake Placid and headed southeast to do some more sightseeing. I looked up some potential trails in the area to check out, and one piqued my interest. A little spot called Owl's Head Trail. Might as well check it out.
All right, we are just checking out some local trails here in the general vicinity of where we want to do our bigger hikes later this week. And we are at Owl's Head Trail right now. And this is actually on private land, but the owners actually have opened it up for hikers like us. Rock scrambling out. I love it. This is what it's all about, folks. This is why we get out here and do this. Well, there you go, fellow expeditionists. That's our little adventure up Owlhead Mountain. And how cool was that? We just happened to run across this as a recommendation off of All Trails. I almost overlooked it because it's only like 9/10 of a mile. But I seen that it had a lot of views and some rock scrambles. I was like, all right, this might be worth our time. And yeah, it definitely was. So cool. All right, we decided to pull off the road here at the Cascade Mountain day use area. It's just a really beautiful area alongside this mountain and lake. Yeah, how beautiful is that?
Very beautiful.
Well, I think we had a pretty good day today, didn't we, Catfish?
Yeah, it was really cool exploring the peninsula and especially climbing up that Owlhead Mountain. And then afterwards, we just kind of cruised around town, found like just cool stuff.
Yeah, going around Lake Placid, the town with all of its Olympic history and everything. And of course, so much of that right now is under construction. I guess they're holding the University World Games next year. So they are preparing for all of that, redoing everything, revamping a lot of stuff. But it was really cool to see all that and see the mountains here. I'm loving the Adirondacks, I gotta say.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yep. But coolest thing is we got our same campsite back tonight here on Meadows Road in the dispersed camping area just outside of the High Peaks Wilderness. Exact same spot we were in last night. Love it. See you in the morning.
Good morning, fellow expeditionists.
That's right. It is day number 4 on our fall break road trip. We are heading into the High Peaks Wilderness today.
Today's hike is what brought us all the way from Indiana to the Adirondacks. I've seen pics and videos of the High Peaks Wilderness, and particularly Avalanche Lake, and I've had it on my list to visit for a few years now. Originally, this was going to be our backpacking trip on day 3, but with our late arrival and the much colder weather and snow on the peaks, we chose to put it off a day for warmer temps while we explored the area. So today, we would be attempting the 13-mile adventure as a day hike, starting at 6 a.m. But even with all of my research, we really didn't know what we were getting ourselves into.
Stunningly beautiful lake here, socked in by these high rocks. Now for the real adventure, getting across this lake. How cool is this? Let the climb begin. All right, this trail gains 1,950 feet in altitude in just over 1.5 miles. This is one of the way it does it. Beat. Look at this. Yeah, now look behind you. All right, catfish, let's make a final push to the summit. Well, catfish, you just summited one of the high peaks in the Adirondack Mountains. How do you feel?
Great. And a little chilled out.
Well, Mount Colden summit, the views up here, absolutely breathtaking. We got to keep moving. It took us a lot longer getting up here than we anticipated. Trail was much more rugged and rough going, slow going, and we still have to get back. We arrived at Lake Arnold. Parkour it! Parkour it! Parkour!
Parkour.
Sun's already behind the mountain there. I just love these mountain streams. Whew! Think we made it, catfish?
We did.
Awesome. Well, guys, it finally happened. I broke catfish. 13 miles, 3,061 foot elevation gain over the course of nearly 12 hours. But wow, what a trip.
What a view.
Yeah, it was probably the most rugged, most rocky, most muddy, and most steep hike I think we have ever done. You know what? We need to decompress now. So
We do.
On to our next adventure.
We were utterly spent. We headed back to our boondocking spot and crashed out. Originally, we had another big hike on the agenda here in the Adirondacks, but we needed some recovery time after that Mount Colden hike. So we decided to save it for the next time we find ourselves in upstate New York.
Good morning, viewers. This is day number 5 on our fall break road trip. Sorry for not doing any kind of final say on day 4 because we were just so wore out at the end of that long hike around Avalanche Lake and up Mount Colden that we just got back to the car, went straight back to the boondocking sites there off of Meadows Road and crashed out, didn't we?
Yeah.
We're up now, and we are on the road again. We're going to be heading out of the Adirondacks, but we still got more to do.
We headed west out of the Adirondacks. We had a few hours of driving before arriving at our next destination, so we chilled out while enjoying the scenery along the way.
This is Catfish's first time I've ever been being in the state of New York. And the only time I had ever been here was when I was 18 years old. I took a little trip with friends to New York City and flew there. And that is the limit of our New York State experience. So, driving through these mountains of kind of the central northern half of the upstate New York, it's kind of a new experience. I kind of feel like more like West Virginia kind of land and everything here than what I would normally have thought of as being upstate New York. It's just kind of eye-opening, you don't really know parts of the country until you go and visit them. All right, viewers, we have made it into central New York in the Finger Lakes district. I seen pictures of this place probably a decade ago and have always wanted to come and see it for myself. Well, today is that day.
Hey, fellow expeditionists. Today we're at Watkins Glen State Park in central New York.
Watkins Glen is not a big park by any means, but it is big on scenery. We love places that have creeks carving out the rock in canyons, so Watkins Glen is right up our alley. The park has done a great job of incorporating rock bridges and tunnels. It's like something you would expect in a Tolkien novel. I half expected to see some elves and hobbits on the trail.
That pretty much completes our expedition into the gorge at Watkins Glen State Park here in New York in the Finger Lakes district. And I gotta say, it was everything I expected it to be. All right, Watkins Glen was really cool, pretty neat. Glad we got to stop and finally get to see that. It's still early enough in the day, it's kind of early afternoon. I think maybe we can still fit in one more little adventure today. All right, folks, we promised you one more adventure today, and we are trying to squeeze it in. I say that because the weather is turning on us, and there's a big storm system coming in. But we are at Letchworth State Park, still in the Finger Lakes region of New York. So this area is supposed to have some amazing gorge waterfalls. So we're going to check it out, as long as the weather holds for us.
Yep.
So we're now at the Upper Falls. Let's check this out. Right, that Upper Falls was really awesome, especially with the train trestle located right above it. Now we're heading to the Middle Falls. So the Upper and Middle Falls were absolutely breathtaking. We want to get a view of the Lower Falls along with this gorge. It looks massive. Even in the rain, this is pretty darn cool, huh, Captain?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Well, all right, Letchworth State Park. That was pretty freaking cool.
It was.
What an amazing gorge that was. We're really glad we managed to fit that one in. Even if the weather didn't want us there, I think it kind of added to the effect of it, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. What did you think about it, Catfish?
It really reminded me a lot of Niagara Falls, with like just how the waterfalls were shaped, except there were 3 waterfalls and it wasn't surrounded by a bunch of buildings and commercialization.
Yeah, yeah. It was true nature. That was awesome. Loved it. And with that, fellow expeditionists, that's pretty much the last thing I had bookmarked for us to do on this little road trip here. I'm not sure what's next, but we are on the road heading west, back towards the Midwest.
We would have loved to have stuck around an extra day to properly explore Letchworth State Park, but the forecast was not in our favor with more rain coming in. So we started our journey home, spending the night at an interstate rest area in Pennsylvania. But our adventure isn't quite done yet.
Good morning, fellow expeditionists. It is day 6 on our fall break road trip. And guess what? We're on our way home, but our route takes us right across Cuyahoga Valley National Park again. So we thought we'd stop and see the one thing that we could not see on our first day here.
That's right, our adventure ends right where it started, back in Ohio's Cuyahoga Valley National Park. It's about 9 a.m. on a Friday morning. Almost nobody on the trail. Perfect for a little more waterfall chasing.
And with that, fellow expeditionists, pretty much concludes our 2021 Fall Break Road Trip Expedition. Till next time, peace out.
There's something about hitting the open road with just a sketch of an idea of where we're going and what we'll be doing. Finding a different place to boondock every night, seeing unique places along the way with side trips and unexpected escapades. We're not just hikers or backpackers, we're adventurers, exploring the world around us, one trip at a time.